Cool. Well, yeah, I guess next we're going to be looking at the header. So I'll share my screen again here. And
Okay, so we're rotating back and forth. That makes
I think
perfect
so.
sense.
Just,
Yeah.
so it's fresh on everyone's mind when we're looking at the differences between the two things. I feel like 40 minutes was in between two things. I might not remember the small details of the differences. So yeah, I think we're hopping back and forth here.
Okay.
Just to refresh everyone's memory on what the header looks like. Usually headers are a little bit more complex than this, as much as I would like them to be as simple as this. Clients usually have a lot more links they're trying to cram in there and other call to actions, information, and things like that. But I always like a nice simple header. So I'm kind of always look at things and break it down into how I might build it. So we have the logo, menu, and button. It looks like the menu and button are like kind of in one cell or container or box over to the right, right aligned, and then we have the logo left aligned. And when we're thinking about building a header, the tricky part is we have to think about, okay, what is it going to look like on desktop, but also what is it going to look like on mobile? And we're not going to get too deep into the mobile in this video, but I'm going to show you a little bit about that, and just always like to mention it because it's something, even if we're like looking at building on desktop, we always want to build it in a way for desktop that works well and translates well to mobile. So when we're looking at this header, we know that we want to create something similar on our website. I'm going to back out of these site settings where I was last. You'll see, again, I'm in a very basic install here with no header besides just the name of the website up at the top. So I'm going to go to the back end here and hop over to Elementor, templates, and theme builder. And the theme builder is a really great tool because we can build things like header, footer, archives, loops for your archives, anything like that. Right now, obviously, we're focusing on header, so I'm going to hit that plus button. They do have some pre-built templates to kind of start out with. My thought with templates in general, like they're great for inspiration perhaps, but not much beyond that. There's usually something that you're not going to catch that's kind of hidden in the template that, much better to start from scratch and build it intentionally. Here, we don't really need anything, and I'm just going to cross out of there. That's out of there.
I don't think I've ever actually seriously looked at Beaver Builder templates or Elementor templates.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think they're good for like inspiration and like, oh yeah, maybe that's a cool way that I could lay things out, or inspecting the way that they're done. But yeah, beyond that, templates in general, I mean, even for beginners, like beginners might think like, okay, this is an easy way for me to make a lot of progress easily. Sometimes it's difficult because then you don't really understand how it's set up if you're just importing a template, and you might import something and there might be wrong HTML markup, or just like bad setup that you don't even know is there. So much better to start from scratch most of the time. I do understand sometimes.
Every time I do, I'm like, oh, that's a great template. I import it and then I start putting the content in and replacing stuff, and I'm like, this just it's more of a time suck, having to remove stuff, and it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
So with Elementor in here, if I click add element, we'll see all of the elements that we have available. I just dragged in site logo, which is again my not too great screenshot here. I said that I was going to fix that, but you know what? I forgot right after I said that. So I'm going to set this up. Generally, I don't know, maybe let's try maybe 180 here. And I'm going to go back and forth. Oh, they actually look like they have a fairly small logo. So maybe I'll split the difference here and choose 160. So we have the logo here. If you see here in the container that I set up, I want the direction right. So all of the elements flex and stack horizontally, because the next item I'm going to drop in there is going to be a container actually. Because I want this to contain these two items. And I'll kind of get into that in a second. But yeah, I want those to kind of be grouped together. So what I'm going to do here is now throw in a menu. And right now I'm going to use the WordPress menu. There is another option with Elementor now that they're kind of pushing, but for easy menus, the WordPress menu is just fine. So I'm going to then right align this here, similar to how they have it. And I'm also going to drop in a button. So button, and then here you'll see that it's stacked, but what I really want it to do is stack horizontally, and then I want all the items to be at the end. So here we have kind of roughly what we're looking at here, but I need to style everything. So I'm going to go through here, and in Elementor, whenever I'm selecting an element, I have 3 options: content, style, advanced. I'm going to change the style here so I can make sure to set this. I'm going to try that first. Oh, no, that is actually enter. So I might set this on the fly. So I tried to set a global setting, but I didn't have one set up that was just right. So I'm going to set it here, kind of guesstimate this a bit. And it looks like they're using dark green, and then hover is likely this light green, and active is likely this light green. And it doesn't know, oh, well, we're not on the home page right now, so it's not going to set that. We don't have all of the pages. I guess we don't have services in there. We just have home, about, and contact, but you get the point. And then button, and here we'll set up something similar. So I think this is just a transparent background here. So background, I'm going to set to the cream, but then I'm going to actually make it transparent. And then let's see, the font was, the text was this color here. And we actually were an enter here as well. So I'm going to...
Just out of curiosity, you set it you set the color as cream, which would work, and then you set it as transparent. Is that just being super picky? And
it is.
It's like you're doing it twice.
Well, just in case if a client then changed the background of the header, then the button wouldn't be truly transparent at that point. So I'm setting it up correctly. So if other changes happen down the road, it's like always one of those things. Smart. As a web designer, you want to think 2 steps ahead. So for yourself, it can be a completely selfish reason so that you don't have to go in there and fix things when things break. So a little anticipation.
Or a more positive way is that you're saving the client money by doing it right the first time.
For sure. Yeah. One of my goals always is to build efficiently, but then also, with anybody who inherits the site in mind. So here we go. Border type. We have a little border radius here. Let's see here. I'm going to set this
5.
to 50%. Oh, no, that's way off.
Is it 50? Is it really that big? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, rounded.
I thought it was just like the 5 pixel, but yeah, that's almost a circle. Yeah.
Something kind of like that. Background or border color. What was it? It was the same color as the text, I believe, but it was much thinner. Something kind of like that. And then I'm just going to
put a phone number in.
Grab this text in here instead of rewrite it. And drop that in here. Obviously, you'd normally want to set a link and a hover color and all that. I can, set up the hover, do background, this text white. Oh, that's probably good, even though, okay, that is actually this color. And then we need to change the border as well. But I actually think Elementor doesn't have hover border, so normally I do that with CSS. So let's just, call it good enough, close enough there. And then, with Elementor, if we were going to take a look at this, a couple things we'd probably want to do is we'd want to center that. I'm going to go through here and then set everything to align center. That's probably good enough. Sometimes, let's see if the header does that. Oh, it actually doesn't, but we can set sticky if we wanted to. So this header could be sticky if we wanted. And we just go motion effects, sticky top, and that would just make the header stay there as we scroll down. I'll turn that off. Could look at mobile just really quickly. How much time do I have left, Darren?
I didn't do a timer on it. So
okay. I'm feeling like I have a minute and a half left. So I'll
I'll give you 90 seconds.
Okay, cool. So if we wanted to do mobile responsive, we would just look up at the top here. We'll see we have 3 breakpoints. We have the desktop, tablet, and mobile. We can toggle between those. Things that are inherited down the line, so changes we make in desktop are inherited on tablet and mobile. Things we do on tablet are inherited on mobile. Mobile doesn't, just inherits up the line. So if we look here, that probably works pretty well. If you wanted to change the order of these, so the mobile menu is on the far right to be easier to hit with your thumb. You could reverse the order here if you wanted to, and then change the start there. It gets a little wonky. If not, then it's pretty easy to just keep like it is here. We'll probably center this just to make sure everything's in line there.
I kind of like the menu on the right.
Yeah, I do too. I think if I was going to be setting this up for a client, I'd probably do that.
Yeah.
For time's sake, let's just set this up. I'm going to do percentage here, and I'm going to do 33%, and then I'm going to do, and again, I would probably do this much more accurately, 67, but that's not working because I also have a gap in here. Of course, I set this in the wrong place. It shouldn't be there. It should be here. Custom percent 33. Okay, so these 2 items don't fit there. So this is where you get into like, okay, on mobile, we don't have too much room. Do we want to get rid of something? Maybe we add another bar with the phone number up top and have it only display on mobile. Or I can go in here and say, okay, responsive, let's hide that on mobile. And then we'll get something that looks a little bit more like that. Again, we'd probably want to do a lot more mobile edits, but just wanted to show you those options to show you that Elementor has all of those good mobile options. I think it's something that Elementor excels in as a page builder, is having the granular options to get, really specific on mobile. Here, I'm just setting where this should show up since it's a header. Generally, 9 times out of 10, you're doing include entire site and hitting save and calling it a day. So this is, of course, the editor view. If I go back to the front end to show you what our site looks like now, here we can see we have our header up here. This little line wasn't shown because we weren't on the home page. Could probably turn that off. But besides that, I think it's looking pretty good. And I'll pass it over to Kristen for her header build.
Cool. This I'm going to actually record, or not record. I'm going to put a timer on it. Kristen, sorry. I think I looked, and I think you were at 11 minutes, Michael. If she took 10 minutes at the last thing, but I think she was at 9. But whatever.
Okay. Went a little bit over.
That's all good.
All right, timer's on.
Perfect. So there are a couple of ways to get to your header to edit. Since this is not a vanilla install of Beaver Builder and all of these plugins, we kind of had a few things that we set up, and we copy these installs to all of our fresh installs to just kind of give us a little bit of a jump start on that. If you already have your header set up, then from the front end of any page that header is displayed on, you will see it in the drop-down menu when you hover over Beaver Builder up here at the top. And that'll take you right into editing. You can also come to Beaver Builder on the back end from your dashboard and click on theme or layouts. And if you're doing a fresh install, I don't think either one of these exist. So this is where you would come to add a brand new one. And some of the options that Michael went over that Elementor is nice enough to put directly in the editor, this is where you will find those. So making it sticky, that just, pins it to the top of the page as you scroll down. If you want to overlay, that just basically makes it transparent at the top. So if you have like a nice big hero image, then it'll take away the background color of the header until you scroll.
Which is one thing Elementor doesn't do easily. Of course, it can do it but it just doesn't make it easy. So I think Beaver Builder almost has Elementor beat out on that. As a Elementor lover, I can say that even Beaver Builder beats out Elementor there.
from my perspective, looking at this screen specifically, this looks like Beaver Builder used the standard. They used a custom post type to do these. Like it's very like I feel like Beaver Builder has done the very WordPress way, where Elementor did their own interface, their own thing, and it doesn't quite look like everything else in WordPress. This looks like standard WordPress, which is interesting. Just two different ways to get to the same end result, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is nice that they include this. I know whenever you change it to a sticky menu, it automatically shrinks the logo whenever you start scrolling. Which is nice to not have to add additional CSS to,
or a
accomplish
plugin
that.
to add that functionality. So yeah.
Or a plugin. Yeah, the plugin search
Yeah.
that can be a beast all in itself. But yeah, this is where you can also set up if you have, in some cases, like a primary header and a secondary header. This is where you can apply or exclude. And then you can also add rules as well. But this is where you can also launch Beaver Builder from. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And you can see that it's only letting me edit up here at the top. And we do already have this, kind of, very vanilla setup here. But if you are, so Beaver Builder just came out in the past couple of years with their own Flex container setup. And they do actually give you a split header. So it's just basically a small flex box on one side and then a larger flex box on the other side. I believe this one that we have installed is using columns, which I think will be the old way of using it. So maybe I just
why don't you just at least show the difference and try to do like the same thing? But
oh, this is the split one. That's not the one I was thinking of. Which one was it? I thought they had one that was no, it's definitely not that. Well, cut that
individually. So
yeah.
we're not cutting anything. You'll be good. It's all right.
Yeah, it's always under the pressure of the moment when you have to choose one thing. It's like if you're in your normal flow, you'd probably drag the right one in, but under pressure, it's like, oh god, I got to choose one of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
You could just do it the old way too. That's fine. I mean,
no, it's okay. I am going to come up here so that it adds a whole brand new box. Okay, so there's a little bit more setup here with the container setup. And I am going to just drag some of these up. So I'm adding my main box, which is a Flexbox container. And then I'm going to add one within it. And that is going to, that's going to house my logo. And then I'm going to add another box over here. See, I feel like Elementor's Flexbox containers are much more intuitive to use than Beaver Builders. Like I feel like Beaver Builder just hasn't quite got the user experience down for this. Because sometimes you click on buttons.
It's a little overwhelming
yeah, definitely, especially if you don't understand the Flexbox code.
The Flexbox in general, I think Elementor had a similar journey as Beaver Builder of starting with the columns and switching to Flex, which when it first happened, I was like, no way am I going to use this right now. Like, this seems so confusing and takes forever. But I tell you, like, after a week or two of using Flex, it's like so great over containers. But yes, very.
I'm so old, so like I remember when CSS like came out, and I'm like I don't know if I want to use this because it's so much and then you realize like
Yeah.
after doing it for a day, you're like, oh, this is so much better.
Yes,
So
and yeah, no, that's like web design. All you get stuck in you have this one recipe that you have for building something some way, and to build it another way, it just seems like it takes so much longer. Or why would I do that? Because my way works. But yeah, part of web design is just kind of figuring out when you want to take that step into that new, latest and greatest type thing. And it generally takes me a while of people telling me I need to do it before I do it, especially on a client site. Like I'll test it out 3 or 4 times just on, different small projects or my own like kind of tester sites. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable with that. I'm confident I know what I'm doing. And then, still not quite as quick on the first couple of projects, but then, yeah, I never look back after that. Kind of same with switching these page builders from, the old ones to now Elementor and Beaver Builder.
well, before that, you were using Genesis, right, to build
Originally, yeah, Genesis was our bread and butter, like 2011 to 2015.
That
and
was
then
such a nightmare. Having to doing everything through Genesis and what was the what what was it called? Widgets. It was all widget based.
all widgets. It was all
Yeah,
widgets.
it's like you don't even use widgets
And
anymore, I don't think.
the particular child theme from Genesis that you had only had 3 boxes for featurettes on the homepage, and you wanted that 4th. It was like, okay, start Googling and spend
Right.
an hour and a half finding a snippet of code that you're like sweating as you're trying to drop into
Well,
your child theme.
back then you'd have to probably add 6 lines of code to add that box basically. Like that was
Yeah. And a client would be
that's
like, well, actually, can you change it like this? And you'd be like, oh, no, they didn't just ask that today. Because it would take forever. And now with these page builders, it's like, oh, I need another column. What used to take an hour and a half, you go click, and the column appears. All the other columns shift over. Listen to me, I'm saying columns, but really I'm talking about like Flex containers. And, it just all works so well now. And then, yeah, I mean, there's already new iterations of page builders that are coming out that are much different that, I'm having a similar experience with, like, when do I move towards this new latest and greatest thing? Is it really stable enough? Is it really tried and true enough?
So Christian, you're setting the button here and you're going to save this module basically to reuse later?
Yeah, when I get to the button setup. Yeah, I'm sure you saw me fumbling a bit while y'all were talking. So my mistake was that I dragged the box container outside of the row and then I accidentally deleted the row. It actually works better if the box is within the row, because the row gives it the correct padding that follows your global settings. But you don't want to put a box within a column. They say that's not allowed. So box within a row is okay. Box within a column is not good. I have run into issues with that before. So yes, this is generally how you would set up the header using the Beaver Builder Flex columns. And another part about it that can get rather frustrating is this part is having to try to select exactly what you're editing. I think that's another thing that Elementor does really well. So you just kind of have to like make sure your mouse is hovered perfectly so you don't click on the wrong thing accidentally.
Page builders have a little bit of that. I certainly have that every once in a while with Elementor as well. But yeah, certainly when I switch over to Beaver Builder, I'm like, probably because I'm less familiar with it, I just feel like everything takes me another step to find that, container within the container.
Yeah. And, one thing I do with Elementor that I really kind of ignore on Beaver Builder is the I think they call it structure now. It used to be called Navigator for Elementor, but Beaver Builder has the same thing called the outline over here. And it makes it easier. I wish theirs was like drag and drop, like Elementor's is.
Oh, you can't drag and reorder there over on the right?
I mean, like, I can't like drag this entire box
Oh,
around to like move it out of my way. Cause like now I would like to edit the button and it's like,
Yeah, right.
this is in my way,
Yeah.
which I can double click that right there, but I can't see it. So it makes it a little harder. So yes, let's go over here to the button. I didn't mean to inspect that. Just trying to copy that. And
for a second, when you switched over to this, I was like, "Oh man, she made a lot of progress." She's like, I was like, "Oh, that's the example site."
yeah,
If only that were that simple. So.
I know. I'm just gonna cheat
She's
here a
doing
little
proper phone link here.
Oh yeah, I didn't set up links, Kristen. Don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to show you up.
Kristen always sets up her links when she's making buttons.
Yeah.
It's just force of habit, you know. Like
it's the right thing to do, so you don't forget. But yeah, so often I don't quite have that link yet ready. So.
And then that will be the cream color. I think it looks like the well, almost. Yeah, this is still default, which should be enter. Yes, okay. That's what I thought. And
that's the name of
I'm
the
just
font? Okay.
enter, yeah.
Okay.
It's not super popular. It's like the default for Figma, and I don't know if that is the reason, like chicken or egg type thing. But now it used to always be like Open Sans years ago, and like a couple of those fonts, and now it's like if you look at the default font for like so many things.
How many fonts does Google Font have now? Because I remember way back when, it was there weren't a ton, and then at one point they had like 700 of them.
There's a lot.
There's years ago. It's probably thousands now.
When you look at them, I mean, there's a lot of it's junk though. Like, I mean, I wouldn't even consider using 80% of the fonts, but yes, there is a lot.
Open source.
Yeah, true. Yeah, a lot of fonts there.
Okay, great. I think my border width
your border is 1 pixel too. Yeah, as you were about to say. Sorry.
It's okay. I overshot it just a little bit. So while we're here, I know I mentioned I wanted to show how to save and reuse. This I would say this is a secondary button. Because if you're looking at this, they have this the green one going down the page, so I would call that their primary button. But we probably will need the secondary button later on. So Beaver Builder has this really cool thing where you can save modules. So I'm going to go save as, and that will save all of the changes that I made as well. And I'm just going to call it secondary button and click save. And then when I go to add a new module, there's this save tab over here, and you can see the secondary button that I just saved is listed here. You can do the same with columns and rows. With Beaver Builder, we talk a lot about like creating building blocks. So instead of looking at a page as a template that is fixed and the hero will probably stay the same on most pages, but the second, third, fourth row, instead of those just like staying exactly where they are, you can mix and match throughout the page. And that way it's consistent with the design, but it looks a little bit different on each page. So that's where the saved rows and saved columns really come into play. But if I needed this button somewhere else on the page, I can just drag it in and you'll see it's the exact same button right there. And then the other thing that I know Michael covered was mobile and you can view the mobile a few different ways. If you want to preview the layout, you can click preview and scroll through the different breakpoints that Beaver Builder gives you. You can also, from one of the module settings, they have a couple of different items that you can set for each breakpoint. So like the menu alignment, they give you the option here. And if I just click on the little icon with the device, it'll tab through
Oh, interesting.
all of the different breakpoints. Yeah. And my favorite is just pressing the R button for responsive. And that actually taps through all of them on a loop. So, and I'm the same as Michael. I start from the top down. You always start with desktop and work your way down. When editing, it makes it a lot easier just because it waterfalls to the smaller devices.
Yeah, it's funny how it got to be that way for page builders, because if you like take a design class, they'll always tell you now start with mobile and work backwards to desktop.
That's
but
exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, the page builders are, I mean, at least from what I've seen, are set the opposite way. So while you do always want to like consider mobile and like design for mobile, because that's where probably, depending on the site, most of your traffic's coming from. Unfortunately, it's when you're building, it's not always the best way to do that because things won't inherit in the right order.
I've always I've had clients before directly asked, do you do mobile first? Do you have a mobile first mindset? And it's like, no, because none of the tools allow you to do it that way, and it also doesn't make sense to do it that way. But anyway, that's a total tight tangent. We could
that could be a whole series right there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough decision there, and I really think if a client asks for mobile first design, I think you just need to put a lot more emphasis on the design on mobile than you might normally. But I think for your average client too, they're usually looking more on the desktop than their phone. So if you're designing for a client, it's like, okay, I can't forget any device. Like I got to do mobile, right. I got to do desktop. Tablet's kind of that forgotten child, but I need to make sure that works too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when we're concepting, even though we don't typically do the full like design comp, we are considering mobile. It's just from the technical building part of it.
Yes.
It makes more sense and it saves a lot of time to start with desktop because it waterfalls down like that. So even though the technical development side of it is going in the opposite direction than what most people are doing today, doesn't mean the concept isn't addressing the mobile shortfalls or anything that the client is trying to resolve on the mobile side. So yeah, I don't want us to sell ourselves short.
No.